What's going on, everyone? I am Vincent Van Gool, back with you once again. I wanted to do kind of an answer to what Nikky Casket asked in his Cemetery Hysteria segment, but I wanted to do it this way, since a lot of you have also asked me this in the first place. That question being, what bands got me into horror punk? I had to think about this one a little bit, because, that was a long time ago that I first started really getting into horror punk, and there have been so many different bands on the scene, you know what I mean? But if I had to pinpoint a few, these would be them. We got the Misfits. Obviously the Misfits. I mean, that's most of us, right? The first album I heard was Static Age, and instantly fell in love with it. Um, I had to go and get everything that they did and see what all changed throughout their careers to that point, I reckon. And I reckon even in my music, specifically with the Creepers, that influence comes out a lot. I mean, most of us, like I say, in this genre are influenced by them. And I think that we all in the scene owe a little bit of a debt to the Misfits. Um, but by the way, I think the first song I actually heard by them was TV Casualty. Because that's the first one I can remember. And then there's Blitzkid. And you expected otherwise, honestly. Um, when I used to hang with the skaters back in Columbus, Georgia, when I was a much, much younger dude, one of them, Donnie, always wanted to skate the Blitzkid. And the first time he did, instant love. TB's vocals are great. I love Goolsby's bass work. I'm trying to emulate that a bit on the Creeper stuff. And I really try to this day to emulate the guitar. In a lot of ways, I try to play with my acoustic stuff similar to the way they played on that live album, Hollow Bodies. I think the first song by Blitzkid I ever heard was Pretty in a Casket off of Terrifying Tales. I'm pretty sure. Um, I'd have to say another would be The Other. I know for a fact that the first song I heard by them was Beware of Ghouls, because of the This Is Horror Punk Volume 1 CD they released through Fiend Force Records back in '03. Um, and right after I heard that, I had to hear more. But given that I'm in the US and they were in Germany, and there was a little bit of a disconnect getting to it because the internet was still fairly new, it was a bit difficult to do, but I managed it, and The Other became one of my favorite bands. Uh, that whole, by the way, that whole This Is Horror Punks Volume 1, complete bangers from beginning to end, honestly. I later found their album, They're Alive, at a specialty shop in Georgia, and so I bought that, and then I hunted down the rest as time went on. Then I would have to say Ashes of October. I know a lot of you guys don't know who that is, but they were a local horror punk band back in Columbus, Georgia, that I actually used to roadie for. Um, Obviously, I was a fan first before becoming a roadie, and I still have their album, Last Words of the Crucified. And I know the very first song that I ever heard by these guys was Bloodbath, which would later go on to be the first song on Last Words of the Crucified. Mostly because I can still, in my head, hear that organ that their keyboard player played at the beginning of the song, and they used to open shows with that. I spent a good amount of time roadieing for these guys, and unfortunately, they broke up, and another couple of actually like 3 horror-based bands spawned off of that, being the Debutante Massacre, Crybaby Bridge, and the far more popular 213, who had a little bit of a following throughout the actual whole country. Um, they're on Bandcamp too, and I will link to where you can find 213. And I'm pretty sure Crybaby Bridge is on there. So I'll link to the site on Bandcamp that has all that. Another one that I would add to the list is actually a psychobilly band. And that's the Necromantics. And I know, that's technically cheating. They're psychobilly. They don't count. But come on, you can't deny that a lot of the psychobilly bands, such as the Necromantics, are bordering on horror punk. They're a gateway. They're a gateway. The first one by these guys that I remember hearing is "Who Killed the Cheerleader." And that was when I was in the original Creepers. My bassist came over to my house because he knew I played bass. And he wanted me to help him write some bass lines, like 2 or 3 songs that we were working on at the time. So he came over. We were working on his bass lines, and after a couple hours, we decided to take a break. And he put in a mix CD that he had made and played "Who Killed the Cheerleader" by the Necromantics, and just I wanted to hear more right after that. And besides, what bassist among us doesn't want Kim Neckerman's bass? You know, it'd be cool to see Bilo Von Gacy playing that, wouldn't it? The last one that I will mention is the original Creepers, and this one probably isn't fair because, you know, it's me, but it was my real first foray into the horror punk genre. I was the lead vocalist at the time, but I helped co-write the guitar and the bass. The drums were all handled by Ben. We started out just doing covers of the Misfits, a lot like a cover band I had been in prior called She that did nothing but Misfits covers. But the Creepers started out doing Misfits covers from both eras. The most popular, apparently, being Helena, because I could do the screech that Michael Graves did. And then I managed to talk them into doing a couple of Blitzkid covers, like Teenage Necrophilian Love Song, and we had been working on Return to the Living, and a few others, Pretty in a Casket among them. And when the band broke up, I called my guitarist, and I was like, I know you guys changed the name to Charades to Blame. I'm taking the Creepers back, and I'm going to release music as the Creepers. He told the rest of the band that I said that. They were fine with it. Here we are today. I still have it. And I'm still working on music for it. I've got a couple of songs up here. I should have the full band version of Return of the Living Dead and maybe Werewolf. So those are the bands that got me into horror punk. So what about you guys? I'll reiterate the question that Nikky asked on his Cemetery Hysteria segment, which is, what bands got you into horror punk? As always, check the links in the description. Check out my other videos, as well as the music that I have on here. I have been Vincent Van Gool. Thank you for spending your time with me. And remember, we may be freaks, but we are not alone, and long live the horror.